Hello everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more meaningful stories.
Crystal chandeliers scattered galaxies of light over the grand ballroom, where tuxedoed guests murmured near silver fountains of champagne. And Emily Carter, her ivory gown billowing like a cloud, stood radiant at Daniel Thompson's side, their smiles polished by privilege. Yet behind the velvet stage curtains, a pair of wide, wondering eyes watched. Malik Johnson, barefoot in frayed khaki shorts and an oversized dirt-streaked shirt, his hollow stomach tightening with each waft of buttered canapes, his small hands clutching a ragged photograph as he pressed himself into the shadows, heart pounding to the rhythm of string quartets, waiting for the perfect, impossible moment to step from rags into the golden glow of their flawless celebration. The music swelled gently, violins weaving through the murmurs of guests as the master of ceremonies, Mr. Alan Brooks, stepped up to the microphone with a practiced smile, announcing the moment everyone had been waiting for. The bride and groom were about to speak. All eyes turned forward. Champagne glasses paused midair, and conversations died into silence. At that precise instant, from behind the lush crimson curtains, Malik moved. He darted like a shadow sprung to life, his tiny bare feet making soft slaps against the cold marble floor, a blur of brown skin and torn cotton slicing through rows of gleaming shoes and satin gowns. Gasps erupted like dominoes toppling through the crowd. Who is that? Where did he come from? But the boy didn't stop. A waiter lunged, missing him by inches. A groomsman shouted, "Security!" But they were still too far, lost among the pillars. The room, once orchestrated in perfect elegance, now rippled with stunned confusion. Yet Malik, driven not by chaos, but by purpose, surged forward with trembling resolve, his eyes fixed not on the stairs or the whispering mouths, but on the silver microphone that shimmered like a beacon at the front of the room. In one fluid movement, he slipped past the MC's outstretched arm and seized the mic with both hands, holding it like a lifeline. Emily froze, her bouquet wilting slightly in her grasp as she stared at the boy. Daniel took a step forward, unsure whether to act or wait. The boy's chest rose and fell rapidly, sweat glistening on his brow, and in the charged stillness that followed, the opulent wedding became a stage not for a couple's vows, but for something raw, unexpected, and utterly human. His fingers tightened around the microphone, knuckles white, voice trembling but unwavering as he began to speak, his words slicing through the silence like a blade. "I'm sorry," Malik said, his eyes scanning the crowd, "but I had to come. I had to say this." His voice cracked, yet it carried, stronger than anyone expected from a child so small. 3 years ago, I was just a kid living on the streets. I was cold. I was starving. People walked past me like I didn't exist. The ballroom remained frozen. No clink of glass, no whisper, only breathless stillness. From his pocket, Malik pulled out a creased, faded photograph, his hands shaking as he unfolded it with care. He held it up high for all to see. It showed a younger woman, her hair damp from rain, kneeling to wrap a blanket around a frail boy huddled on the sidewalk. A collective murmur rippled through the guests. "This woman, this bride, she saved me," Malik said, his voice growing firmer, each syllable a thread, pulling memories back into the present. "She gave me food. She looked at me like I mattered. I never forgot her face." Emily stared, frozen, her lips parting as her hand flew to her mouth. Tears welled in her eyes, the memory rushing back with visceral clarity. A rainy night, a narrow alley near the market, the shaking boy at her feet, the coat she gave him, the words she whispered. "Don't give up. Life will change. You'll be okay." She had hurried off into the night, never knowing what became of him. Now here he stood, older but unmistakably the same boy. "I promised myself that day," Malik continued, his voice barely holding, "I would find her again. And today, I did. I came here to thank her." But even as tears shimmered in the bride's eyes and the crowd clung to every word, Malik's voice rose again, this time carrying something deeper, revelation. "There's more," he said, glancing toward the groom's family seated at the front. "After she helped me that night, I wandered for days. Then someone found me. Someone from a shelter. They took me in, gave me a warm bed, taught me how to read, how to dream again." He paused, swallowing the lump in his throat, then turned fully toward the head table. "It was your foundation," he said, locking eyes with Mr. Richard Thompson, the groom's father. "The Thompson Foundation saved me. I didn't know it back then, but I found out later. You didn't just give money. You gave me a second chance at life. A wave of stunned silence washed over the room. Mr. Thompson sat frozen, his jaw slack, his wife's hand trembling beside him. Daniel turned to his father, searching his face for any sign of recognition. Everything I've become, Malik continued, voice breaking with emotion, is because of her kindness and because of your legacy. I never had a family. I never had a name anyone cared to remember. But she gave me hope, and you gave me the place to hold on to it. His eyes filled with tears, but he stood tall, fragile yet unshakable. I'm not here to interrupt. I'm here because this day, belongs to all of us more than you know. From the same threadbare pocket, Malik slowly pulled out a crumpled piece of paper, its edges soft and worn from being folded and unfolded countless times. The ballroom watched in breathless anticipation, eyes wide, hearts suspended. I came today, not to ruin your wedding, he said, his voice rising with trembling clarity, but to deliver this. He held the note with both hands as though it were sacred, something more precious than any jewel in the room. Mr. Thompson stood, eyes narrowing with emotion, stepping forward cautiously. What is it? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Malik unfolded the letter slowly, reverently, and began to read aloud. To the family whose kindness saved countless lives. His voice echoed through the hall, each word deliberate, heavy with meaning. Please know this boy is a symbol of your goodness. His story is not the only one. There are many like him. But today, he comes not only to thank you, but to ask for something more. Malik's voice cracked. His fingers gripped the paper tighter. Will you allow him to call this family his own? Gasps and soft sobs rippled across the room like waves breaking against marble. The groom reached instinctively for Emily's hand. She could barely breathe through her tears. Malik's voice dropped to a whisper, so quiet yet so powerful. I have no parents, I have no name, but I have hope. And if you will, please, let me be part of this day. For a moment, time stood still. The chandeliers sparkled above, but all that shimmered brighter was the truth in the boy's plea. A soft, broken sob shattered the stillness. Emily could no longer hold back. She stepped forward, the silk of her gown whispering against the marble floor as she crossed the distance between them. Her eyes, brimming with tears, locked onto Malik's, and without hesitation, she fell to her knees before him, arms outstretched, voice quivering. Yes, she whispered, breathless, overwhelmed, you are part of this family, today and forever. In that instant, the dam burst. The groom, Daniel, stepped beside her, his hands reaching to embrace them both. His voice choked as he whispered, You belong here. Malik's small frame collapsed into their arms, his face buried against Emily's dress, the white fabric now dampened with the tears of a boy who had spent years carrying the weight of loneliness. Behind them, Mr. Thompson, once the stoic patriarch, moved with an unfamiliar tenderness, his steps slow, deliberate. He knelt beside the trio, placing a firm but gentle hand on Malik's shoulder, his voice rough with restrained emotion. Young man, he said, you honor us. You are welcome here. The boy looked up, eyes wide with disbelief and hope colliding. For the first time in his life, he wasn't being turned away, shushed, or ignored. Around them, guests stood, some applauding softly, others wiping tears from their cheeks, all witnesses to something far greater than a ceremony. A soul being embraced, a stranger becoming family. Emily turned to the boy, her hands still gently resting on his trembling shoulders, her eyes shining with something deeper than joy, recognition, love, destiny. Her voice, soft but certain, broke through the emotion that hung heavy in the air. Would you walk with us? She asked, her words carrying the weight of a vow unspoken. Malik blinked, stunned, his lips parting in disbelief. He looked to Daniel, who nodded with a warm, unwavering smile, then to Mr. Thompson, whose proud, misty-eyed expression said everything that words could not. Slowly, Malik nodded. Yes, he whispered. The crowd parted as the music swelled anew. Not the refined strings of a classical waltz, but something more alive, more human, as if the moment itself had birthed a new melody. Emily reached for his hand. Daniel took the other, and together, the bride, the groom, and the barefoot boy stepped forward down the aisle, not as a couple, but as a family. Applause thundered, some guests standing, others weeping openly, their hearts undone by the sheer magnitude of grace. Sunlight streamed through the tall cathedral windows, catching dust motes in golden flight, and for one breathless moment, the world seemed to pause in reverence. In that walk, Three hearts united in silence and in promise. Something sacred unfolded. Not just a wedding, but a rebirth. Not just a celebration, but a miracle. Kindness, even in its smallest form, can echo across years and transform lives in ways we never imagine. A simple act of compassion can become the beginning of someone's entire world. If this story touched your heart, make sure to follow us for more unforgettable moments like this one.